Ranieri or Dalman, but not everybody can make it. If they can't make it here and they can make some money for our academy to reinvest, bearing in mind, I think it's like 2 million a year to keep the lights on. So if you sell someone for 10+ million as a conservative bet, it's all amazing. I do think people need to calm down. I don't think Odegaard was amazing, but I don't think he warrants the kind of, like you said, like the echo chambers things on social media. He missed the penalty. No one don't care about that. I think it's just really Ranieri's couple of moments and Max Dowman's is just further kind of a stick to poke Odegaard. And I think some of it is valid. I think some of it is unfair. I think us fans let's have it right. We're impatient. You know, we got a good team. We ain't been winning. I think fans, just anything that rubs them up the wrong way, they're onto it. What did you make of the left-hand side? Because you kind of touched on it. Like, I'm a big fan of Martinelli. I'm sure you are as well. He's regressed. He's stagnated. His footballing IQ hasn't improved. I'm not necessarily getting onto him for yesterday, but it did feel like the same thing. Do you think like it's imperative we sign a left winger this season?
We need to improve the left-hand side, whether it's 100%. Giving Martinelli a different sort of platform, getting him more centrally and playing like a more overlapping fullback, or getting a number 10 to play on that side instead of Declan Rice just crashing into the box. We need something different, because the left-hand side has looked stale for 2 seasons now, not just in terms of last season, but the year before that as well. So at one point, you got to ask yourself the question of, is it the personnel or is it a system? And if it is the personnel, you have to, yeah, exactly. It's a balance, most likely. But you have to go into the market and then find what you want. I actually feel like profile-wise, Nelson looked the most suited to what Mikel wants from his left winger to do. He just hold the width and come inside and be light on his feet. Martinelli at times, I think, is a bit heavy on his feet. He's a bit predictable. He's got the same style of dribbling where he waits for the guy to commit, then tries to drive past him. It works here and there, but we need like a consistent level of threat. And I don't see Martinelli as a two-way threat. We can cut inside and go outside. It's very much, you might beat a man, but can you provide the high quality cross to find the striker, whether it's Gyökeres or Havertz? I don't think so. I think there was a moment where he nutmegged a couple players and put a decent ball inside, but I saw those
kind of the same mode, yeah.
I've seen it back in 21-20 or 21-22 where he smoked Trent and that, and I've seen it before in those days as well. So I'm used to that. Maybe, you know, a bit ungrateful for it at the same time as well. But I've seen high quality wide forwards that can beat their man consistently and provide the ball. We've got one on the right hand side, so why not also have one on the left hand side?
We said it there, man, and I'm at the point with Martinelli. It's not positive, it's not negative. I just feel the left-hand options we've had at this moment in time, you're not bad players, but 5 games, I don't know what we're getting from you. I think with Gyökeres, which we'll get into, that's a step in the right direction. You're scoring bare goals. Obviously, we know what Saka is doing. We need more sure bets. We need to stop gambling in it. Like, we need to know what we're getting from these footballers. But equally, kind of like you touched on, it does come down to tactics, and I guess that's a question for Mikel Arteta. I know people don't want to hear this, but it is the first game of pre-season. Whatever we've been doing for the last 2 years that have got us to this point, positive and negative, like the invertedness, the false 9, all that stuff, that didn't happen overnight. Us rebuilding or rethinking our tactics is a better way, isn't going to happen overnight. All I ask for is in every preseason game, we're just getting a couple percentages better. Really and truly, you're not going to see the benefits of everything that every team's doing in preseason, probably until like the 10-game mark in the Premier League. So I have to say how it is. You touched on it. Reiss Nelson. Now, every preseason, there is players of clubs that they start moving like Neymar and things like that. Where are you at with Nelson? Is it one last dance? Can he get an opportunity, or is it, unfortunately, got to go through the door, man?
No, it's time to move on. And I say that because every preseason for the last couple of years, he hooks you back in. You think, yeah, this is the time. And he might, have the start of the season where he's maybe, I don't think he's been a starter. I think he's been a bit unfair in terms of the chances that he's given right at the start of Mikel Arteta's tenure. But once he did get his chance, I think it was when he got his contract, he couldn't stay fit. And that's the issue. We don't want to go into this season where there's so much pressure to go and win a title. And if Nelson's an important part of your team and the squad depth-wise, I wouldn't mind him as an option. And I think with less minutes, you can manage his fitness. But even last year at Fulham, he had his glimpses, had I think a couple good starts and appearances off the bench, and then did his hamstring. So he's like the OG star boy that, wasn't meant to be. It is what it is, but we've got enough more coming through. You got Max and you got Ethan, you got Saka, and you've got, the players like Miles with Skelly as well. So I think in terms of Nelson, it's time to, get the most value possible, because he won't be a starter next season. He might have a few minutes off the squad. And that's ultimately just going to decrease his value. So if there's teams that are after him right now, and if it's a loan with the obligation to buy something like that, I think it's time to move on. And it's annoying because I think profile-wise, as I said, he's probably more suited to what we want from that left winger than Martinelli and maybe Trossard, because he's a mix. He's just as nimble on his feet like Trossard, but he's got more explosive pace. But the issue is he's never been able to stay fit. So you have to be ruthless, man.
and he's on 100 grand a week. So not that I care how much he's getting,
Yeah,
but
crazy.
like obviously you're gonna have to be moved on. How do you feel about our sales? Like, how do you feel about our ability of moving on these players? I know Bert has come to the team,
Yeah.
been employed, but like, do you really think we're gonna shift on the Fabio Vieiras, the Nelsons, the Lokongas, so on and so forth?
I think there'll be a lot of loans like we saw last year, and
Oh,
sometimes it
Bhavs,
works in a
I want to
favor,
hear that.
and sometimes it don't. But I think certain players we can sell, like Trossard, players that have played part of the first team, and even Fabio Vieira. He had a decent loan spell last year at Porto. So there's a lot of players that you can sell, but you will get the odd loans here and there. I am very jealous, to be honest, because I'm seeing Liverpool make their moves, and that's because they
We're
can
gonna
sell
get into that.
Nunez, because they can sell Diaz as well. I wish that we got to the stage where we can get that. And to be fair, if Martinelli was on the market, he would demand a very reasonable fee. Bearing in mind that we've paid 50 for Madueke, Spurs paid similar for Kudus, and there's been other wide forwards like that as well. Alanga went from like nearly 60 as well.
Wages.
Martinelli could demand a decent amount of money, and maybe if we can sell him for a decent amount of money to like Saudi or whoever it wants him, then you can maybe go for another big forward. But right now, I feel like there's the players that will probably be Trossard and Fabio Vieira, and players that haven't been a part of the first team apart from Trossard. And then past that, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a first teamer, if a right offer arrives, that Arsenal are like, okay, cool, let's swap him out, find another piece that suits us better for what we need there, and ultimately
Give
get
us an
the better
example
player.
of that.
Let's say Martinelli goes. Let's say
Mm.
£60 million comes in or £70 million in from Saudi Arabia, and Arsenal can sell him for that amount of money. Then you can actually go for a specialized left forward. Unless Mikel sees Madueke as that, which we're not sure because he hasn't played yet. We don't know what Mikel's plan is for him. But if you can get specialized left forward, whether it's Rafael Leao, Rodrigo, there's a lot of names, Anthony Gordon, so many players out there that are more suited to what Mikel Arteta wants. I don't think there's an issue with Martinelli's quality. I still think he's a very good player. And if he was platformed the right way, playing more centrally, we saw it in that game against Liverpool last year. We drew 2-2, where he's in the second half making a run centrally. That's what his game's at. If you have him out wide, where his 1v1 bag isn't as creative as Saka's, you're always going to see him struggle. So at one point, you have to ask Mikel the question of, if he ain't working, find someone else. And I actually feel like even Eze could do the role there, or Simons or Eze, because they're players that they don't have a lot of space to run into, but they've got the, I guess, more variation in their dribbling ability where they can beat a man inside and out and they're a bit more disguised. Whereas in terms of Martinelli, it's very much like hold, let me sprint past him.
You know what he's going to do.
Well, we've seen it for years, the same type of skill move. And it used to be effective, but the issue now is defenders are faster, stronger, and they know your game. And right now we have to.
And teams are deeper, so there's less space typically to run in behind.
Bro, and we're talking about big spaces here. Don't even get me started on low blocks, because that does not work against low blocks. You need players that can pass the ball and create chances, and that's why I think signing Eze makes so much sense, because he has
makes sense.
He has more quality in tight spaces. He comes alive in those spaces, and even on the counter attack. We talk about Martinelli being probably our most effective player on transition, but is that really the case? How many times have we seen him, be played in 1v1, make the wrong choice, not pass the ball, or make a shot where he could have passed the ball? I feel like it's more because we don't have pace. We think, oh, we can't lose our pace, but why not add other types of qualities? Eze is not as fast as Martinelli, but I think he's more decisive and better in terms of decision making. So that's why I would go for a different player there. And that's what I hope we can do as well. And if not, add Eze on top of Martinelli. You got then a runner. You got the left forward of Madueke, who can be left-footed and hold the width as well and be a bit more different. And then you've got Eze, who's great for tight spaces. You want to have solutions next year, and I think that's what our main priority has been in the summer so far.
I think you're right, man, in that regards. And you touched on something that I always say. Yeah, obviously, I'm not against selling Martinelli. I like Martinelli. I just feel you need to upgrade on that. Like, it's not sustainable in the role that you're in. Like you like you said, we've done this for 2 years now. For me, with Martinelli, it's like, I accept you for what you are. Minimum, you can come off the bench, you can rotate, you can do all of that jazz. A part of me also feels, to see the best Martinelli, I think you need to cut, like, I don't want to say, I say this with a heavy heart, and I only mean, like, obviously I'm not watching Liverpool week in, week out, nor am I Newcastle, but when you are watching them, it's end to end, it's kind of crazy football. Like, that's where Martinelli excels. And you lightly touched on him playing against Liverpool through the middle, in which some fans are holding on to that, and I don't doubt it, but it's just, for me, I couldn't tell you what Mikel Arteta demands from a striker, obviously. But I think if everybody's fit, obviously, we're going to have Gyökeres. You're going to have, give or take, Merino and Kai Havertz. If everybody's fit, you're going to have Gabriel Jesus. And I'm probably missing out someone that are all going to be ahead of Martinelli, maybe even Trossard, ahead of Martinelli in that pecking order. I want to ask you a question as well, lad. You mentioned Madueke. If we just assume, that Gabriel Jesus, Madueke, Martinelli, and Trossard, you're all fit, you're all an option off the left-hand side, which one would you start?
I don't know about Madueke just yet. because I think he's a quality player there, by the way. I think he's a player at Chelsea that when I watched him, I actually did like him, to be honest. And I don't like a lot of players that play for Chelsea, but I can't say, he starts left wing because we haven't seen him play that for Arsenal just yet. His stints at Chelsea were all right. I think he had that game against Liverpool last year towards the end of the season where he drove past a couple of players, and Schlott spoke about it after the game, saying that Madueke, caused a lot of problems. So obviously you got Saka and then you got the striker being Gyökeres. Right now, it'd have to be either Trossard or Martinelli because that's all I can see so far. Madueke
Which
is
one
more
would you
like
go with, though?
I'd still go for depends on the games, Depends on the games. If we're gonna have more space, then I'll go for
You
Martinelli.
know what? Gun to your head, Champions League final.
Champions League final.
Gun to your head.
Champions League final, I'm going Martinelli.
Either Champions League final or last game of the season.
I'm going Martinelli because I feel like he's in the big games. He has turned up. He scores goals in big games. So if we're going Champions League final, yeah. But over the course of a 38-game season, I want to improve in both options. I don't have to pick between Trossard and Martinelli. Decent players, but are they Saka level? Can we get Saka level?
Can we even get 50% of Saka, which is above them two, respectfully?
Yeah, the way I look at it is Martinelli's he's a wide striker. He's a player who loves to play. If you're gonna, Jurgen Klopp type system where you're crashing the box in that far post, we're playing him as a winger. Saka's a winger, and that's why he thrives in that area. So I feel like if I had to pick, I probably think it'd still be Martinelli, Gyökeres, and Saka. But if Madueke can prove to me that he can play on the left hand side and he's a reliable option and he can beat his man 1v1 and provide quality crosses, then it could change very quickly.
Which one out of Martinelli and Trossard do you think is more likely to leave this summer? If any,
Trossard.
or it could be both or none.
I think one will leave, to be honest. I think one will leave, and it will help Arsenal get that next attacker that they want, probably in Eze. If we're talking about who's available, who wants to come, who's got the price tag as well. Trossard makes sense because his contract, he's at the age now where if you don't give him a contract, year on year, his value goes down. So if teams now value him at £30 million, and you feel like to yourself going forwards, he ain't going to go up in value, then you got to maximize now. And of course he's not, because he's going to get older and his contract's going to go down. So for me, Trossard leaves this season, most likely. And that's where you can get an Eze as a that'll be a very good window. It wouldn't be perfect. You can always get better. I don't believe in perfection, but it'll be a very decent window.
Do you really think we're going to get Eze and Rodrigo? Like some say, do you think we're going to get Eze? Do you think we're going to get Rodrigo? Do you hope for both? Do you think we get both?
Bro, I'll take anyone. I'll take everyone right now. Of course, I'd hope for both. Of course, I'd take Rodrigo. We're greedy, bro. We're Arsenal fans.
We need to be greedy. We've been waiting a long time now.
We can get Eze in this window, and next window, if another top attacking midfielder becomes available, we want that guy as well. But realistically speaking, I don't think £68 million price tag, the release clause, is unfair in Eze. I actually think it's a bit lower for what people are paying for attacking midfielders right now. You're thinking about a guy who's 27, Premier League proven. We've seen the quality in the FA Cup final. Him selling more and more big games. I think there was talk last year when Elise went to Bayern that he wasn't quite on Eze wasn't quite on that level of consistency. I think last year you saw more of that where he became the main man and scored important goals. And I feel because he gives us more solutions. You can play as a left number 10 if you want to in certain games, or you really want to go for games, you're chasing the goal, you can play him there and he can provide you an option there. But also on the left-hand side, we've seen it for Crystal Palace on the counter-attack, but also in those tight games as well, he can provide a shot from outside the box. His ball striking is fantastic. And he's got just a great way of disguising his dribbling, where he can, you don't know where he's going, left or right. And I feel like that's the thing I want the most on that side, because I've accepted Mikel doesn't want to play that left winger as a wide striker. That's why I'm going past Martinelli. If he was to change that and have maybe an overlapping fullback to hold the width, things could be different. But I think right now, as of the current players that we have, and what I saw yesterday as well, an Eze profile would be far more suited, because he'd be an upgrade on Trossard ultimately, than it would be to Martinelli.
So what do you make of left wing's one thing, and that's where I think if everybody's fit, that's where Eze probably plays, if I'm completely honest with you, in an Arsenal team. But what do you make of his, because obviously he can play in a bunch of roles. Like he could obviously deputize for Saka on the right, left-hand side right now, he looks like a shoe-in. I don't think we'd see it, but you could probably make a case of maybe in the game Arteta might try something with one lone 6 and Eze might be one of the rotating 8s. What do you make of him with against Odegaard? Like if him and Odegaard are like direct competition for that role, like where do you rank that? Where do you look at that?
If we get Eze, I want him to play with Odegaard. I don't have to choose between attacking midfielders. We've already got enough defensive security and quality defensively to not have to double up all the time. You've got some of the best 1v1 defenders in the world. Give them the trust they deserve, and then you can have the other players involved as well. So I don't have to choose between
back to the Wenger days when all the cams are on the pitch. Yeah,
obviously, like we had Rosicky and you had Wilshere and you had every single player playing together. I don't think we'll go that far, But ultimately, I want to have both players playing together. I want more creative opportunities. If they're going to have a striker who can score the goals, we need players that can provide the chances. There's no point in having a goal scorer if he's not getting the ball in the right areas. And I think having an Odegaard and a Saka on the right-hand side and having an Eze on the left-hand side, who do you mark? How do teams deal with that? You're asking teams questions that they can't answer sometimes. And I think that's what we need, because ultimately we're going to face a lot of low blocks again. Teams know how to play against Arsenal. We saw it work against us last year, but we had the most or second most draws in the
another
league.
thing that's been the case of 2 seasons now as well.
Yeah, and I feel like if we'd signed more attackers last summer, you could have seen more solutions. And in terms of this year, you got players like that thrive in transition, Madueke and Gyökeres, but players that thrive in those tight spaces. That's why I was looking at Simons, but it looks like he's going Chelsea. But if not, it has to be a Abruzzi, man. I know, ultimately, bro, if he takes a number 10 shirt, he's come from Hill End. I think he cried when he left Arsenal. It'll be quite the story as well.
It's romantic.
But it is. But I want to see the quality of a player. I don't care about storylines right now. I care about just get him in the team and show me the quality you have. Because I don't want to have be in the position next season where you're going, we could have signed him. We weren't ambitious enough. But you've got Liverpool. Liverpool have got one striker for 95 million euros. And now they're putting up a £120 million up for Isak if he wants to leave. Come on, you can't be competing with those quality of teams. And that quality of attack they'll have of maybe a Salah, an Ekatike. I don't know if he plays together with Isak, but if they get Isak as well, it could work together. And then, of course, you could forget Florian Wirtz. If you've got that quality there, Man City, you've got Erling Haaland. You need to show a level of ambition as well. And ultimately, we have the money. We spent £70 million last summer on Calafiori and Marino. Spent nothing in January. So if you've gone from Gyökeres because you don't want to go for Isak on his own and you want another attacking midfield on top of it, it can't just be Madueke. And I don't think Arsenal fans will accept that, because Madueke is not a popular signing. And you need to sign players that fans get excited about as well. And if you sign an Eze, you're an Arsenal player who's played with him, like Bukayo Saka in England, you're going, hang on a minute.
You're going to get gas like we're serious now.
Oh, you saw the Skelly video. You saw him doing the Gyökeres celebration. The players, bro, we're in the area of social media, yeah, where every single player's got social media. We've seen Declan Rice, who's been following social media accounts.
He's never hid away from that yet.
They see it. They watch it. They see it. So if you get an Eze who's shown it in the Premier League, they're not watching the Portuguese league as much, but they are watching the Premier League. And they watch the FA Cup final, and they saw Eze scoring that. So it builds excitement. It gives the fan base a mood lifter as well, and it builds a lot of confidence going into the season. When we signed that was it Jesus Zinchenko window, a lot of fans were excited, and we made a great start to the season. It does make an impact.
And we're impatient now. Some of it is illogical. A lot of it is logical. I think even the most like fans like ourselves, where we'll give praise to the club where you're due praise, critique where critiques purposes. We're kind of impatient, innit? I don't think the club necessarily care about who they want to sign. I mean, who the fans want or not, because we've been here before and we hope they all thrive. But I think you're right. If it came down to it, though, Eze, Rodrigo, which you can only have one. Where are you at with that? You got your game-changing left wing, I'd assume, with Rodrigo. You've also got Eze who could do that, but you've got your versatile attacker. Like, which one would you pick?
For me, I'd actually go for Eze.
I know you said we're greedy, but you could only have one in this case.
Yeah, I'll go Eze. And it's a hard choice because Rodrigo is more of a natural wide forward. But again, I think he's a player who thrives more centrally. And we've seen that with Martinelli. Even though Rodrigo's got more of a bag dribbling-wise, and I think he's even more high quality in terms of the finishing, I think Eze, because he gives us the ability to play another 10 alongside Odegaard or a Wanyeri or a Dalman. If you've got that option there, I'd rather have that there when you've got a Martinelli as an option and now Madueke on the left-hand side than just have Rodrigo who can play on the left-hand side. He ain't going to play down the middle. He ain't going to play as a false 9. So that kind of becomes put to one side. Whereas Eze can play in both roles, and both roles need improving as well. So because he fixes both the areas, that's what I'm going for, man. I'm going for Eze and also for Premier League proven, man. And it matters because I want players that come in next season. They know the league, they know the environment, and also a point to prove. I don't know if Rodrigo wants to leave Real Madrid. He's not starting games right now, but he ain't made it clear that he wants to leave. Eze, for me, I don't think he's actively looking for a move, but if he comes to Arsenal, having had that history of the club as well, he's going to come to the Emirates with a point to prove of like, look, this is why you should have kept me in the academy, but now I've gone away, I've developed my game elsewhere, and I've proven myself, and now I'm made to shine.
You got rid of me for free, and now you're buying me for what? Let's assume 60-odd million quid. I think they're both difficult.
Pogba in it, Man United.
Exactly. Exactly. Like we needed exactly. And for me, I kind of piggybanking off what you're saying, but for me, I'm a bit different in that I think they're both difficult deals to get done respectively to both. I think, you've got to ask yourself the question. I don't feel we have FFP or we need to sell to buy. I've just always had the mentality. I know we're getting to Gyökeres and I know we're getting over the line with Gyökeres, but I feel in the ideal world, everyone that's at the club already that's been brought in